I will say I did go on a website that was 18 plus that I shouldn't have gone onto, and something flashed up on the website saying we've logged your IP address and we will. And I'm like, oh my god! And I turned the computer off and I was offline for a good week because I was petrified. I was terrified.
No shit.
I was still an immigrant. You know, being 15 years old, I didn't know what the repercussions were. I could have been deported back to Germany for all I knew. Of course, nothing ever happened of it. Right? There was no internet police that came knocking on my door. None of those things happened. But at the time, I was scared shitless. I'm like, "Oh my god, nothing will come get me and then ship me back."
Every time the doorbell rang or the phone rang, you're like, "What the shit?
No, don't get me. It wasn't me. I swear, it was Wi-Fi." We didn't even have Wi-Fi back then, but
no. It's like one of those. Yeah, I got one probably 4 months ago. An email. Hey, we have a picture of you masturbating to porn.
Right.
If you don't,
that's right.
Pay up or whatever.
Yeah, half a Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, so I responded to it. I said, just make sure it's a good shot. It's like,
make sure I got my good side. I guess I got an ugly side, right? Man.
Boy, does that sound bring back some memories, all right? So either it haunts you or it makes you smile. Either way, I got Andy on today. We had a damn good time. I did chop this up into 2 episodes, like the episode title says, to make it easily digestible. And like normal, before we get into all that, got a handful of things I want to throw at your way. This is one of 2 different types of episodes I do within the show. It's about 90 minutes long. Normally, I chop this up into 2 hour-long pieces. Got a guest or 2 on today. Again, just Andy. On opposite weeks, I go live and I talk about what's on my mind. And I go on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and X. So I would love for you to follow me on those communities. Everything you need to know about the show is over on the old website. Jump over there, BRawPodcast.com. Would love to have you sign up for the newsletter. I throw one out once a week. They're short and sweet, and the idea behind them is if you're waiting in line at the cashier or for your Starbucks coffee, or waiting, if you live in Jersey and you're getting your gas pumped, you can read it. Quick read, makes you think, get you mad, whatever. Would love for you to do that. Again, BRawPodcast.com. And I'm a one-man show here. You know, I feel like sometimes that guy that has the drum on his back and the cymbals between his legs and the horn on his shoulder and he's beeping and you got to keep everything going in line. But I love it. I have a great time doing this and the feedback y'all give me is amazing. So thank you for the most precious thing that everybody has to offer is your time. So I'm going to be a little greedy here and ask for a little more of that time. Whatever platform you're listening to this on, and if you haven't joined me on YouTube and Facebook and X and Rumble and all that, I would love that. But I'd love for you to throw up a review, 5-star review, of course. Talk as much shit as you want. I'd love it. If you like what I'm doing here and you get something out of it, tell a friend or 7. And of course, speaking of help, I can't go any further than Charmaine and the crew down in Arizona with Live Reishi. This stuff, the Reishi rub, is a staple in my gym bag. And then the tincture is here at the house all the time, helps me relax. Tincture is amazing on joints and muscles. Definitely check that out. Link is in the show notes. Give Charmaine a bunch of hell for me when you do. Also, Craig over at High Speed Daddy, he's got amazing stuff for an active lifestyle all the way around, but it's kind of geared toward parenting. Even if you don't have kids, he's got amazing gear. And I'm telling you, fellas, the fanny pack is making a comeback. I have one thanks to Craig. And of course, links down show notes. Give him hell for me when you get over there. All right, man, let's get on to this show. Andy coming right up. Now, you know, when you're hanging out with your boys and your friends and you're like telling old stories and you say, shit, man, imagine if we wrote a book about that. Well, guess what? That's what Andy did. He calls it play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I call it fuck around and find out. And Andy has multiple stories about a lot of things. So I'm just going to let him tell you all about it. Let's get to it. My classic line is somebody, because I am bad at remembering names. Like I can't fucking remember a name for nothing. And people are like, well, it's, you know, this, that, and here's some ideas and, you know, to help you remember. I'm like, dude, it took me 6 months to remember my ex-wife's name. So just.
That was after the divorce too. After the papers were filed, I'm like, defendant? Who is this Jessica girl?
Yeah, get that big gold symbol. You divorced?
Am I? No. No, I take it back. I went through, technically, yes, I am.
What?
We can talk about that if we want.
Yeah. What? How do you're like, no, wait a minute. Yes. Don't tell me you had like a common law living.
Kinda. So me and this gal, we're in a domestic partnership, and then as we split ways, we want to dissolve it. If you've been in a domestic partnership for over 5 years, you have to go through divorce court. And so I was never legally married, but I had to go through divorce court.
So it's like she got mail there and paid bills and did all that for 5 years. So technically, you're married.
You can make the argument it's common
law marriage.
Common law, right? Because we did share a life together for about 6.5 years. So I can see why legally we want to protect people that are in domestic partnerships. We were, again, technically never married, but I had to go through divorce court. I had to get a lawyer. I had to get all the paperwork drafted, and it was I wouldn't say it was necessarily messy with a capital M, but it was a fairly uncomfortable about a year time frame when that all unfolded.
No shit.
Yeah, it took a minute.
Did she make it uncomfortable or did you?
I tried to be as cordial and forthcoming as I could have. However, she didn't agree to some of the terms. How about that?
Yeah, that's what I ran into. And I was like, man, I just want to go. You can have everything. I just want to go.
If there's one thing that the ladies will suck out of you voluntarily is your life.
Oh, yeah. But they run the world, dude.
That's so true. And we let them, and we love it.
Yeah, right? And I'll do it again.
That's right.
So where are you coming? Where are you at?
Where am I at? Physically, I'm in Las Vegas. Been living here for 20 years. If we want to go through my paragraph of who I am and how I ended up here, I am Andy Dietrich, born in Germany, lived there till I was about 14. Moved to Alaska, of all places.
Oh, what took you to Alaska?
So my mom has always been in touch with her spiritual side, and she is under the belief that she spent a former lifetime as a Alaska native, as an Inuit, up in what is now known as Fairbanks. Again, she's very heavily connected with her spiritual side of things.
That is amazing.
And she said one day, hey, I want to move, pack our stuff and move to Alaska. And I said, Mom, wherever you go, I go. And she visited the place a few times just to get a feel for it. And sure enough, when we were, when I was 14, this is back in the mid 90s, we just packed our stuff on short notice and we left. We got a one-way ticket. I was technically an illegal immigrant for a hot minute. Lived my teenage years in Fairbanks, did high school there, experienced -40 and a couple other niceties that come with, living in that kind of condition. And then at 19, I joined the military and did my 4 years down in Southern California. And I got out and I moved to Vegas. Been here ever since.
So back to Alaska, though.
Yeah.
When you went to Alaska, so you're 14. Did you say it was now known as Fairbanks? Was it known as something else then? No,
it's always been Fairbanks. But again, my mom is under the belief that when she lived a past life there, it was in the past, whatever year that was, or whatever lifetime generation that was for her, it was at the place that is now occupied by Fairbanks. But Fairbanks has been there for many, many decades now.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, wait a minute, Fairbanks.
No, it didn't settle, while we were there. No, it didn't work like that.
Dude, 14 years old. So what are you in middle school?
Yeah, middle school. I finished the last quarter of middle school while I was there and started the first year of high school there.
How many people in your class?
My graduating class. So now keep in mind, Fairbanks has two high schools plus one technical school. My graduating class was 250. Kind of give you an idea.
See, I thought you were going to be like, it was 52 people.
No, not quite like that. Now, Fairbanks is a very quaint, very sleepy, very, very endearing little town. We had one movie theater, one Denny's, which I actually worked at. I was working at the northernmost Denny's in the world. I can put that on my resume.
Nice.
We had, a couple of just everything that a little town has. It's very, I don't know, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You fend for yourself and you get to know your neighbors, that kind of thing.
That is cool. See a bunch of weirdos up there trying to escape reality?
Yeah, I personally looking back, I kept to myself. I was a bit of a shut-in back in the day, right? I spent a lot of time on my computer, being in my teenage years. This is when dial-up internet was a thing. So I watched a lot of Dateline. To Catch a Predator was my jam. I don't know why. I just loved that show. And spent a lot of time on dial-up internet, and played Doom and made, silly mistakes that a teenager would do on the internet. But I will say, back in the mid-late 90s, the internet was a lot more raw, a lot more unfiltered than it is today.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you say you made some mistakes, give me what kind of mistakes you make on the internet. Come on. Did you watch?
Definitely pissed a lot of people off without knowing it.
Just making comments and stuff?
Yeah, back in the day, ICQ was a thing, IRC was a thing, downloading legal, now completely legal, software was a thing. Yeah. So, I wouldn't say I never got myself in trouble. I will say I did go on a website that was 18 plus that I shouldn't have gone onto, and something flashed up on the website saying we've logged your IP address and we will. And I'm like, oh my god! And I turned the computer off and I was offline for a good week because I was petrified. I was terrified.
No shit.
I was still an immigrant. Being 15 years old, I didn't know what the repercussions were. I could have been deported back to Germany for all I knew. Of course, nothing ever happened of it. Right? There was no internet police that came knocking on my door. None of those things happened. But at the time, I was scared shitless. I'm like, oh my god, don't think I'll come get me and then ship me back.
Every time the doorbell rang or the phone rang, you're like, what the hell? Shit!
No, don't get me. It wasn't me. I swear, it was Wi-Fi. We didn't even have Wi-Fi back then. But
no. It's like one of those. Yeah, I got one probably 4 months ago. An email. Hey, we have a picture of you masturbating to porn. Right. If you don't,
that's right.
Pay up or whatever.
Yeah, half a Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. So I responded to it. I said, just make sure it's a good shot. It's like,
make sure you got my good side. I guess I got an ugly side, right?
God, if you got my old face, make sure looks good, dude.
That's awful. I love it.
Yeah, it's just that stuff cracks me up. My company that I work for, we always get text messages. Sure. I work for U-Haul, right? And they get hey, click here to change your password. I'm like, fuck you, whatever, right? And then half a day later, or maybe the next morning, we get a mass email. Mm-hmm. We're now part of a phishing scam because somebody clicked a link. It's like, why are you fucking people clicking this link?
Don't click on things, man. Like, come on.
Dude, it's 2025. If you don't know the person sending it, just because they say it cracks me up, dude. And it just makes it heartbreaking when you see these older people or some people get scammed. And it's like the older people, like 80-year-old people, I can kind of see. But somebody's like 25 and gets scammed.
There comes a point when you ask yourself, what were you thinking? For example, let me give you a quick story. I talked to a banker. This is like 10, 15 years ago, right around the time when like Chase and some of the other some of the bigger banking institutions came up with their whole like check scanning thing that now everyone knows about these days. But back in the day, it was a new thing. So I was talking to a banker for something unrelated. And I asked her, hey, do you have any good stories? Any cool little fun little WTF or I can't believe that happened kind of story? And she goes, yes, actually, very recently. And keep in mind, this bank, this branch was working or was right in front of this elderly, senior home living community. So they get a lot of older clientele coming in, wanting to do banking and such. So she tells me that she shows up one day and her boss says, hey, there's an elderly gentleman in your office. He needs some help. She goes, okay, no problem. So, what seems, what's going on, what seems to be the problem. And he goes, he's already pretty irate. He goes, I can't use your newfangled technology and the scanning thing. And she goes, all right, cool. Let's sit you down. Let's see what's going on. And she says, can you show me what you do? And he goes, sure. He pulls his phone out. He goes into the app. He logs in. And she goes, that's literally most of the problems is logging into it. Once you're in, everything kind of runs itself. But, he's logged in. He's good to go. He goes on the deposit check or deposit money, wherever that button was, right? And it says, please scan the front. He goes like, all right, I'm here. Oh, and he pulls his wallet out, right? He takes this crisp $100 bill, puts it flat on the table, right? And you know where this is going, right? And you're like, you can sympathize in a way, and you can feel the frustration and just the defeat in that person trying to make it work. On the other hand, in what world do you live where that would work? Like, where would that make sense? It doesn't.
Yeah, but I could see that old dude like, oh, this newfangled stuff I don't understand, and
It doesn't work.
This is how I deposit my money now.
Exactly, right? Old man yells at cloud. It doesn't work like that, man.
Yeah. I could. That's awesome. Takes out a crisp 100. He probably got fucking 50 grand worth of $100 bills in his wallet too, right?
But it's things like that. I've worked in IT for 25 years, and there's been a couple of times when people would ask me questions for example, I just like that old guy did. I was once asked by a guy many, many years ago, why can't I highlight things on a website? Just like I can highlight things in a book, why can I not highlight things on a website? And it stay the way it does when I go back to the website. And I'm like, I could give you the technical explanation, but you're right. Why wouldn't you be able to? It's a completely legitimate, thing you should be able to do. Now, of course, it doesn't work like that, but he's got a valid point. Why shouldn't you be able to?
But no, I get it. But the thing is, wow. Now you got me thinking about that shit. Right? Damn. I'll waste way too many calories trying to figure that one out, dude. No, but technology how old are you?
Mid-40s.
All right. So I'm 50.
Okay.
And speaking of checks, when I was raised, my mom taught me how to balance a checkbook, right?
That's what
Ledger and all that, right?
Yeah.
So she says, hey, this is a little hack that I want to show you to save money. So if you write a check for $5.48, take out $6, right? Because back then, you didn't have like a debit card. You couldn't see what was in your checking account. And then I started to make like really good money. So $6, I'd take out $10, and I just, it's gone. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
So I go to move and I leave first thing in the morning and I had to get my money out of the checking account. And my mom goes, well, I'll close your checking account and I'll Western Union you the money. I was like, cool, And I get to where I was going and I said, all right, I'm settled in. Send that over. And she's like, it's like $6,000. And I was like, oh, goddamn.
That's a good chunk of money. Oh, yeah.
That'll work. And then older people that would understand, I always say, hey, man, I'll take a post-dated, or do you take a post-dated 2-party out-of-state check? And like I said that to my wife, and she's like, the fuck did you just say to me?
What is this gibberish you're talking about, right? These Greek words, right?
Yeah. What is this language that you just said to me? I go, man, you ever float a check? Come on. Back in the day, you write it on Wednesday and you just fucking pray that they don't cash it till Friday.
So, a little bit of unsavory, a couple of unsavory, decisions. It's not going to be the end of the world for you, right?
Right. Yeah. That was, you're out with a date, of course, women. And, you want to get lucky. God, check, please clear. Funny. And then you hold it. You're like, you go out to dinner at like 8:00, but you got to wait till like 11:00 to write the check to give it to them.
That's funny.
That way they don't
the cutoff window, whatever. That's right.
Okay. Another day.
So coming out of the military, you have an option. You have 2 options. So when you get out, the military will give you a way to get all your personal effects, all the stuff you have, and ship it back to your home of record, right? So if you enlisted out of, say, Arkansas, then they'll send it they'll either pay you the amount of money, they multiply the miles by the weight, by the whatever, and you can do it yourself and they'll pay you, or you can ask them, or rather task them to ship it all for you, right? And like I said, it all comes back to your home of record. Me having enlisted out of Fairbanks, Alaska, put me a bit of an advantage on when it came to the decision making. So this is probably going to be one of the more unsavory stories, and it's been long enough. It's been 25 years. It's been long enough.
Hey, real quick though, what branch of the military?
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps?
Yeah.
Oh, crayon eat, motherfucker.
That's right. Nom. The red ones were the best ones. Don't ask me why. Okay. Tasted like defeat. Loved it. So anyway,
hey, I just saw a box of crayons with the red one was
called a bite out of it.
No, the red color was called like dog's wiener or something.
Made with real wiener dogs or dog wieners, right?
Red Rocket, right?
There you go. So I ended up moving to Las Vegas, where I've been since that time. And however, when I filled out my paperwork, I chose to do the move myself. So I had the girl I was dating, she drove a truck, and so we weighed the vehicle empty. We put all my crap in it, weighed it, fully loaded. And then of course they reimburse you for the gas that you spend as well. But the biggest thing was the mileage, right? So when I completed the paperwork, I sent in my package to say that, hey, I moved from here back to my home of record, which again was 3,000 miles away in Fairbanks, Alaska. I got a nice fatty check after they processed that. And of course, the address was Las Vegas, but they didn't have to know that I didn't end up in Fairbanks. Like, come on, those are just minor details, right? But no, it was like at the end of the day, I don't consider that stealing. It's more of a taking advantage of an opportunity given to you.
So one thing you did, I don't disagree with you a bit, but one thing that caught my ear, you said truck driving woman. Damn, okay, bro.
She was half Chilean, half Spanish, so half from Spain and half from Chile.
Oh, she was sleep with one eye open.
We had two nicknames for her. One was Gillette, because she was the best a man can get. Also, she will cut you, right? And the other one was Candle. She will give you warmth and light. However, if you don't pay attention to her, she'll burn your fucking house down. And that was 100% her.
The sex must have been phenomenal.
I couldn't have complained. There you go.
Okay, all right. Because you ever see that scale where the crazy?
Yep.
My, that has never been proven wrong. Holy! I dated this girl for a long time, and she ended up being diagnosed bipolar.
Okay.
And like one night we were washing dishes together, right? So she's on one side of the sink, and she's like on my left, and we're washing dishes. And just out of the blue, she fucking hits me square in the face with a frying pan. Bam! I was like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, puts a pan down, starts washing. I'm like, what the hell was that? And she's like, "Oh, what happened? You okay?" And I'm like, okay, sex.
Why are you all red?
The sex is phenomenal, but
why are you hitting yourself?
Yeah, I'm like, this is not. I don't know if it's worth it anymore.
I was with a bipolar girl once too, and to your point, yes, there were a lot of good ups and there were some downs. So it comes and goes.
I mean, just crazy. Flip a switch, and so for a while you're like, okay, I get it. You're diagnosed, and I get all. But after a while, you're like, no, I can't live like this.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I feel you. It's a lot.
Yeah. Then the one time, like I would have to have a picture of her and I together. Like I'd come home to my apartment, and the doors would be locked and shit, and I'd try to get in. And she wouldn't let me in. She's like, "Who are you? You're breaking in my house." And then she would call me, and my phone's ringing. And I'm like, "Look, you're calling me. This is me. Call the cops and shit." Oh,
so dude. A little bit of, I'm not trying to be funny about this, but it sounds like there's some delusions there as well. Maybe hallucinations on top of just her being bipolar. Because bipolar affects your mood. Doesn't make you, see things or hallucinate.
No, it was a whole mix of things.
Okay.
And then there was a settlement with an accident. And I remember we come down from, arbitration.
Mm-hmm.
And we come down and we're sitting in the table at this restaurant, this big fat fucking check between us. And I was like, she goes, "So what do we do?" And I slide it to her and I go, "You're fucking leaving." And she goes, "You don't want any of this?" I go, "I don't want a fucking dime of it."
Okay.
I said, "I'll make my way, man. You just fucking get the fuck out of here."
That's right. Sometimes your sanity is worth every penny, right?
Yeah. So then, like 2 days later, I come home to the apartment. She's there. She's leaving like within 2 days or something from, by the weekend. It was like on a Monday, Tuesday. She was going to leave by the weekend. A couple days later, I come home, showing my age a little bit, but all my CDs were broken half or scratched.
No, come on. I can feel the pain because I used to have that. I used to have those thick binders, right? I know what that feels like.
And records broken in half.
Oh, man.
The paper, the things torn in half.
Yep.
And then I owned every single Louis L'Amour book in a leather-bound book edition. Torn.
Okay.
Right?
I will say this. Guys will get pissed off at each other too, right? But guys have a different way of taking it out on each other.
Beat the piss out of each other.
Sure.
Or some stranger that bumped into me.
Yeah, and then you have a beer afterwards and you say, "Fuck you," and "fuck you too." And then that settles the problem, right? But women have this really interesting way of taking out their aggression by being so freaking petty about the dumbest fucking thing. For example, So I wrote a book about 2 years ago called Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. It's been a passion project of mine. I finally got it out, and I've gotten really good feedback on it, right? I've given it to friends, families, coworkers, and I've gotten nothing but, positive, hey, I loved it, 5-star review, this, that, and the other. Great. And I tell people, look, if you're done reading it, please leave me a genuine review. Genuine. I really mean that, genuinely. So if you want to say I hated it and here are the reasons why, 1 star, fine. I'm okay with that. If you say you loved it, 4 stars because it was great but not that great, that's okay too. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But be genuine about your feedback, right? I've gotten nothing but 5-star reviews on it. And then a couple of weeks ago, I got a single 2-star review with no comments. And I'm like, I bet you money, because something as petty as that is a female thing, and something as stupidly petty as that is a female ex-girlfriend thing. I bet you money an ex-girlfriend found out about it and they want to leave 1 star. Because 1 star, you're like, 1 star, just some person clicking on it, whatever. But 2-star tells me I can
put a little effort into that.
You put a little bit of work, you put effort into writing the book, but I still fucking hate you. 2 stars.
Who was it?
I don't know. It just says.
Oh, I thought you were gonna.
There's nothing tied to it. It's all anonymous, right? So if you leave, if it's a verified purchase, it leaves your name on it. But you can literally just go in there and click 2 stars, and that's it. There's no name. There's no verification.
I thought you trolled and found out it was an ex-girlfriend.
I mean, on the other hand, I think it made my average look a little bit better because when you come across a product that has nothing but 5-star reviews, you kind of think to yourself, "There's something odd about this, right?" It's paid off, right? But 4.8, I'm like, that's more realistic. All right, cool. There you go.
Yeah. The thing is, going back to what you said, I think about this a lot, and I hear people talk about it as well on other shows and stuff I listen to, where men, like you said, if I walk into a room with other men, there at any moment there could be a physical confrontation between us, right? I know that, but women can't rely on strength. So what do they rely on?
Petty shit. Fuck with your head. Slash your tires. Right? Do dumb shit like that. Right? Yeah. Because it's easy thing to do.
I told this story in a minute. I got a fucking good story for you. So I was working this bar. I worked bars forever. Always had a good time. I bring this girl home, and we're walking in the parking lot. We're walking to my truck, and she's like hanging on to me, and I go, "You're going to drive to my place? You following me?" No. I go, "Okay, you're not staying at my house. Just so you know, you're not staying at my house." Giggling and shit. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we get to my house. We do, we do what we do and all that shit, and we're having a good time. I roll out of bed, go in the other room, come back. She's all curled up in the bed. I said, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, it's all warm in here and this, that." And I said, "Don't get comfortable. I just called you a cab." Fuck, dude, wrath. But she leaves, and I get out the next morning. I had a Jeep Wrangler all done up and shit.
I drive a Wrangler. I can visualize it.
So, come out of my apartment. And I'm the crazy.
Go ahead.
I'm the crazy white dude in my neighborhood. I'll tell you that story too. So I could leave my Jeep from Memorial Day to Labor Day. I left it, no top, no doors.
Yep.
I could leave the radio in it. I could leave shit in the back. Sure. Nothing ever happened to it. So she walks, apparently she walked by it, smashed the mirror off the side, broke the turn signal, and scratched the windshield. I was like,
that's effort. That took effort.
The windshield was effort.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't just go, oops, here you go. No, that took, she must have climbed on top of it and
with the keys
out and everything.
Yeah, because it was lifted with bigger tires. So like for her, and she was a small woman, for her to reach the windshield on the outside too. So I don't know.
I had a one night. Good,
so it'll tell you what kind of woman now.
I had a one night encounter with a gal I was working with. This is like years and years and years ago. And I just got in the 2000, mid-late 2000s. Got this brand new 2006 Jeep Wrangler, soft top, right? So soft windows in the back, right? Beautiful manual stick shift, right? Love that.
Only the best.
Only the best. Yep. Had a one-night situationship with a coworker of mine. And for some reason, I just didn't feel like doing the deed with her. Like we still fooled around. We had a good time, but I just didn't feel good about going all the way, right? And I didn't, and we didn't, and we kind of just left it at that. So then the next day, I drive to work, and it's hot here in Vegas, right? So it's summer months. I'm driving, and all of a sudden it's just hot in the car, and I go, "What the hell's going on?" I got the AC blasting. Sure shit, someone, of course, now looking back, it all makes sense. Someone took either an X-Acto knife, must not have been keys, must have been sharper than that, and just ran a vertical line on both sides of the soft back windows. Right, and made the windows completely useless because now they're just flapping. The plastic is flapping, and I'm like, this is some really shitty, vindictive girl stuff.
Yeah. With the model you had, could you zip out the windows and replace them, or did you have to do the whole top?
Yeah, had I found replacement windows, it took me a while to find them because making that particular model type windows was more difficult to find. End up finding a set eventually, like years and years and years later.
Did you throw some tape on it just to hold
I did duct tape it and used some super glue on the outside, and it worked for the time being. It was decent enough.
Yeah. You're dealing with extreme weather like heat, but you're not dealing with extreme variables like I was in Colorado. It'd be 10 below and then
nothing like
70
that,
degrees the next day, and you're like,
no, nothing like that.
But no shit. Yeah, Jeeps, man. I loved my Jeep. I took the back door out or the back seat out.
Yep.
And then I took the front seats out. I filled it with water, the tub, to see where the water would settle.
Okay.
And I drilled a bunch of holes in the tub of the Jeep. And then I covered it with that truck bed liner stuff. Okay. So the whole interior of the Jeep, I had a tough box in the middle and a tough box in the trunk, where the tailgate was. Covered it all with that truck bed liner. And like I said, and I had some killer seat covers on the front seats. Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Top came off. Doors came off. Never went back on, no matter what the weather. And in Colorado at the time, it was like awesome weather, like Vegas. But at 2:00 in the afternoon, it would rain for like 20 minutes. So me and whoever's in the Jeep with me and the dogs in the back, we get it, it'd start, and it would pour. I'm not talking, just a mist. Mm-hmm. Just sitting there all cool, or trying to be cool. At the light, just getting fucking drenched, know. Yeah. Oh, I loved my Jeep, man. That Jeep was amazing.
Good times.
Yeah, you still have yours?
So the one from 2006, unfortunately, I was on the receiving end of a hit and run, totaled the car. Oh. But for the money that my insurance company gave me, I ended up buying a brand new one, but just an automatic. I was going to go for the manual because I love the feeling of driving a stick shift. Yeah. What they've done with the most recent, this is like 2019, what they've done with the gearbox, they've made them so small. I liked having the full H motion. They've stopped doing that. The gearbox is now so small. You feel like you're driving a little sports car. I did not like that. So I said, just give me an automatic.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. All I had in mine was a little 4-cylinder, high output, had a air induction thing on it, but mine was the big full H like you were. And you're like driving like a
it felt good. Loved it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Jeep life, dude.
Yeah.
Especially in Vegas.
Good times. It gets a little too hot here in the summertime, but there's a soft spot, like a good zone of like a month, give or take, maybe a month and a half. Because it does get cold in the wintertime. It does get way too hot in the summertime. So there's a couple of weeks in both the in between seasons that it's comfortable to drive with the top off.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle to have the top off all the time.
Yep. Yeah. I did that once for one summer, and it's brutal, right? 120 degrees. You choose when to drive. You're sitting out there.
It's like riding a motorcycle. I would go from Colorado Springs to Vegas all the time on my motorcycle. And you were dead beat fucking tired by the time you got to Vegas.
Yeah, no, that heat takes a lot takes a lot out of you, for sure.
Yeah. What do you do in Vegas?
I'm a pillow fluffer. I go into the rooms whenever they get done being made, and I just make the pillows nice, and then when you put your head on it, you're like, oh, that's a nicely fluffed pillow. That's what I do.
You weren't fucking around when you said that.
I'm fucking around.
I know. I was waiting to go.
I usually start with I'm a fluffer, and then I get the weird looks, and I say, pillow fluffer, you pervert.
See, you wouldn't have got me a fluffer. I'd be like, all right, you're fucking pulling my leg, dude. Pillow fluffer, though. I'm
Pillow
like,
fluffer.
holy shit.
Professional pillow fluffer.
Wait a minute. I can actually see. Oh, you
yeah. Fuck those pillows. It's not going to fluff itself, right? Should make a shirt that says that.
No, you make those origami fucking things out of
the little penises out of the towel or whatever, right? No, I've done IT work my entire professional career. I keep doing it. I'm going to school for some psychology classes, but that's unrelated to it. I love IT. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm good at it. So yeah, that's my calling.
My best friend, his son lives out there and does. God, I wish I knew the name of the company, but it's one of those companies that help if you get hacked or about. Hey, listen, your stuff is not secure. This is what we'll do for you.
Yep.
I don't know enough about it, so. But he lives out there. He's not really a big fan of the Vegas, but he loves the work. Like he's all about it.
Yeah.
And what part of Vegas you live in?
So I'm close to the airport, very centrally-ish located. We can get to the strip within like 10, 15 minutes. We're right by the freeway, but we won't get the freeway noise, which is really, really nice. So we're kind of centrally south. We can get to the airport in 5 minutes. So we were kind of at a really nice little soft spot here.
Are you like in an apartment building, but you're on the backside from the freeway, so you don't get all the noise?
Well, I'm in a house. Thankfully, I made that decision many years ago.
I made it. See, look at me making a.
If you actually get to watch, there's a show called Flip or Flop Vegas. Not Flip or Flop, but Flip or Flop Vegas. If you watch season 1, episode 6, that's the house I'm living in.
Oh shit!
Yep, 100%.
So they flipped it, and then you bought it?
And I bought it. Yep. It fell through. I'm not on the episode. I'm not on the show. It fell through from the initial buyer. Something happened. It fell through, went back on the market. Then we jumped on it and been living here ever since.
All right. So when we were looking for a home, I did not want to buy a house that was flipped.
Okay.
Because of people do some cheapy shit.
They do. Absolutely. Right? Yep.
And then, so we bought a house that they just wanted to dump it. The parents died and the kids wanted to get rid of it.
Yep.
Needed a lot of work. So I basically flipped it.
Mm-hmm.
I know every rafter, wire, plumbing in this house, which is amazing, which I'm grateful for.
Yep.
And when I was like having contractors come in, you get to know them. And I'm the type of guy like get to know them and, hey man, you like cash? Yeah.
Right.
And so he goes, you living here or you're going to flip it? And I'm like, I'm living here. He's like, okay, this is the price and this, that, and the other. So the next guy, same question. I'm like, I'm fucking living here. Next guy. And it was a common thing.
Okay.
So one guy, I go, hey man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why do you keep asking me this?
Yeah.
And he goes, if you're going to flip it, then anything goes wrong is on you. Right? Not on me and my company.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to charge you twice as much. I'm going to use half the quality of stuff. I'm going to take twice as long, whatever,
because you want to get out the door. If you're flipping, you want to get out the door quick. So
and he's going to use half the shit, and he's just going to fuck with it because if then I sell it and something goes wrong, that's on me. Right. He goes, if you're going to live here, he goes, now it's my issue. I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to, so that you recommend me, all the bullshit. Right.
There you go.
I was like, oh no shit. This is why I didn't want to flip the house.
So I've done my fair share of home improvements around here. I make furniture in the garage and everything.
That's
I've done some electrical work. I haven't quite gotten the courage to do plumbing or water yet, just because I'm a little worried about springing a leak or whatever. Hi, Karma. I'm busy. Okay.
See, plumbing. That's not as bad as you think.
It may not be. I just haven't gotten the courage yet to play with water, right? Because if there's a leak and you don't know about it, and then my fear as a homeowner is a faucet somewhere that has a drip, right? And then by the time you notice it, it's already 5 years too late, right? That kind of thing.
Yep.
But to your point earlier, so I've done my fair share of improvements around the house. I've torn off some lights and hung up some electrical things. And I will say, for the most part, they've done a really, really good job. There's a few times I look around and I go, they kind of cut the corners here. They kind of half-ass this or rush that. But overall, I'm extremely happy with the quality of the work. I've been here for 2025, so 8 years now. And so I've been here long enough to see what they have done well and what they haven't done too well. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I was just going to say 7 years, you're going to find out.
Yeah.
If they didn't do a good job, you would have known by now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it'd definitely fun. How big a house?
1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, right? Pool in the back, so I can't complain. I got a good deal on it, so I really can't complain. And I refinanced twice, not to like try to brag too much about my happenings, but I refinanced twice during the pandemic, and I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to percentage. So I'm sitting pretty where I'm at.
Oh, good for you. So it popped up in our calendar to revisit our mortgage, right? So we call the guy. He's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is your percentage, and you're good, and your mortgage is less than some people's car payment, and we got a good sized house, 3 floors. The top floor is basically a master suite, but because our son, we have a 4-year-old son, we made a bedroom up there, so that way he's up there with us. I didn't want him being downstairs by himself, or trying to climb the stairs in the middle of the night to come see us. I don't need that.
Yep.
But yeah, the basement is exactly the same size of the house. It's a full basement, and I took up the back end of it and built a studio out. And
for where you are right now?
Yeah, it's just really nice, man.
Nice.
Where I sit in my studio, what's actually above me is the front porch.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's a good thing and a bad thing with this house. Like, you can hear just about everything. Like, I kind of like it because it makes you feel like you're not alone.
Sure.
But privacy-wise, you kind of gotta,
I feel it. No, we've lucked out here. Like I said, it's quiet here. To the left of me is an old Navy guy who can't hear for shit. To the right of me is the sweetest lady, but she's a cat lady, and she keeps to herself. I pull in her trash bin every Saturday morning. She's so thankful for it. We could not have asked for better neighbors.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? When you go to buy a house, like when we bought this place, I'm like, fuck. I hope our neighbors ain't all weird and crazy and mean,
Yeah.
And so then we have a Memorial Day thing every year. And last year, all the neighbors come over. We invite everybody. And all the neighbors said the same thing. They're like, when you moved in, we're like, oh, Christ, I hope you're not an asshole.
Yep. I do believe that like 5-10% of the house buying decision making comes down to maybe 5%. Is what's the name of the street? Is it some stupid ass name I'm going to have to spell out every time? Or is it something easy that I can just say and people will understand what it is?
Get out of here.
I believe
you think that comes down?
I believe it 5% of your buying your buying power, your buying decision making comes from what's the name of the street?
I don't want to live on Wichakawan.
Yeah, some stupid crap, right? You're like, how do you spell that? I'm going to spell that for the rest of my life. As opposed to Jones Street.
Yeah,
Jones.
yeah.
Right.
Main Street.
Exactly.
2nd Street. 5th Street. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, home ownership is amazing, but then it's a pain in the ass.
I was trying to hang something the other day, and for some odd reason, I thought I should probably talk to the homeowner. Bitch, I am the homeowner. I can do whatever I want. It goes in right now.
I'll pop a hole in this bitch.
It's just so weird, right? You have that pause for a second. You're like, I need to talk to someone about this. Like, no, I am just like an IT.
Man,
right?
I own this.
When the computer says contact your administrator, I'm like, bitch, I am the administrator. Okay.
That's awesome. Star Wars fan?
How did you know?
I know, right?
These are all Lego pieces, by the way. So they don't look like it, but they're all the Lego pieces.
That's built out of Legos?
Yeah, this big guy right here. It doesn't look like much from where we're at, but this thing is 20 pounds. It's about 3 feet across. It's a beast. It was a fun build. So if you like Legos, if you like Star Wars, I heavily recommend you buy this one if you can afford it.
So how long did it take you?
About a month. So about 20 to 30 hours, I think, total was the build time.
So is that like super detailed inside?
So there's a couple places where you can take off like the top, and it'll give you like some of the scenes from the movies are built out, and there is some detail in it. Like if you go up too close, you'll see they put a lot of effort, a lot of love and care into the details. Absolutely.
What'd that thing cost?
It was like a birthday present to myself. How about that?
Oh, okay. All right. $500?
A little higher than that.
Okay. All right. That's close.
Not $1,000, but in between.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay. Well, you're in Las Vegas, and I play poker a lot.
Yep.
So let's just say $500 just to make the math easy. Would you say 30 hours? How many hours you got in
Yeah,
there?
about 20 to 30 hours. Yep.
All right. So what's that into 500?
Like your average or whatever, right?
Yeah. So what? 2, 4, 6.
Say 25 hours. So let's say it's $20, $20 an hour for 25 hours. That's 500.
That's pretty good. That's not bad for entertainment.
No, you can look at it forever. Like it's there forever. You know. It's
Yeah. I didn't even add that in there because, like, I look at when I was going to Vegas a lot, I would get into like a $250 tournament, right? And I would play for 7-8 hours. In Vegas, that's pretty good for entertainment.
That's good. That's good entertainment. That's good money for your hours. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because people are like, "Did you make any money?" No, dude. I fucking look. I just was entertained for all day.
8 hours. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Drank
In Vegas.
Made some friends. Yeah, in Vegas. Because otherwise, you spend $150 on an hour and a half show, and that's it. Then you're done. You walk out, and you're.
Or about 6 minutes on a slot machine.
Sometimes you get those bad beats too. I shit you not. I'm not a big gambler. I play poker at my little brother's house once a month or whatever. But I once went to go play blackjack, put $100 out. It was like $15 a hand or whatever, and I blew through the $100 in literally 3 minutes. I said bad beat after bad beat. I'm like, what just happened? I'm like, well, Vegas just happens like that sometimes.
Yeah. So my MO for years, I'd go because you'd have, sign up for a tournament long before it starts.
Yeah.
Then I would go do something, but I would put $20 in my favorite slot machine, spin that. If I got something great, if not, but there's been a couple times I've banged that out for a couple grand.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, all right,
great.
I'll take it.
Oh yeah.
$60 here, 120 here, 800 here, 500 here. And I'm like, that's fine, dude.
So you said you play poker. So you obviously are familiar with the terms and the,
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. We were playing, the game at my little brother's house a couple months ago, and something happened. And the phrase that came out of one of the players' mouths was, "I turned a bottom straight." Now, to a poker player, you can conceptualize what that means. You turned a bottom straight. You got a bottom straight from the turn, right? But the phrase "I turned a bottom straight" in certain circles, that may mean something completely different.
I was just going to say, on some websites and in some nightclubs, that might be a little different, dude.
That's right. So I can appreciate you appreciating it.
Oh, yeah. I turned the bottom straight. What's that old joke? Somebody says, "I'm straight," and it says, "Yeah, so is spaghetti till it gets wet."
Yeah.
Is that the joke?
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like two girls, right? I'm straight. Well, so are noodles before they get wet.
Yeah. Oh, Vegas, man. You getting a lot of trouble out there, too?
So I've gotten into my fair share of shenanigans. For example, since we're on the topic, let me do a little bit of the self plug real quick. So like I mentioned a minute ago, I authored Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. You can go on Amazon right now, punch it in, or you can go to andysbook.com. And there's a link to the Amazon page. If you want to buy a copy, be my guest. If you know me in person, you want to get a hold of me, and I'll send you one. I'm happy to, right? Either way is fine. However, so in said book, I chronicle, the subtitle of the book is Short Stories About Friendship, Growth, and Social Misdemeanors. And I think that last part, social misdemeanors, kind of wraps up kind of encapsulates the silliness that I've got myself into. So let me give you one of the many. So many moons ago, I was dating a girl who was not old enough to go to the clubs yet. She was off legal age, but she wasn't off drinking age. Okay. That was a problem for me and my friends because we used to frequent the clubs. That was our clubbing era. Okay. Well, the club we used to go to was very, very, very strict about fake IDs. And even the fake ID that she had, the guys would look at it and they're like, "Nope, it's fake. Get out of, you can step out of line. We won't confiscate it, but you have to leave." Okay, fine. Well, this will be fine for the first night, maybe the second night. But then after that, it's like, well, what do you do? Like she and her friend are just going to sit outside and wait till we get done. That's kind of awkward for all of us.
Right.
So I came up with this, in my opinion, was a devilishly smart plan. I'm like, okay, how can I get this girl in without, her ID being checked? So it finally came to me that the return stamps, the stamp they put on your wrist when you walk into the club, how hard could it be to make a copy of that? Well, so the lick in the lick in the place, well, that was done. Been there, done that, right? That was amateur hour. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
But then I thought, look, I've worked IT for 25 years, and part of my skill set is coming up with creative solutions to unique problems. Okay. So I thought to myself, how hard could it be to take a rubber block, see what the stamp is, take an X-Acto knife, carve the shit out of the rubber block, and dip it into some ink and put it on someone's wrist? How hard could that be?
Even if it's half-assed, as long as it kind of looks like it, right?
Turns out it wasn't that hard. So we did a trial run. We got a room at the Cosmo. We got the rubber block. We got the X-Acto knives. We sent somebody into the club, like, hey, just walk into it, get the stamp, walk back out, and meet us back in the room. He did, and the stamp that he showed us, I'm like, God damn, it's got intricate like little designs and shit. I'm like, of course I had to pick the most difficult one the day I wanted to try this out. So I sat there noodling on it for a good like 45 minutes. I'm like, man, this is never gonna fly. It doesn't look anything like it. But you know what? We're already here. We already have a whole group ready to go. We've all been pre-gaming. Let's give it a shot. There was like maybe like 10 of us wanted to walk in, and 3 needed the stamp. So we said, all right, so we're all going to walk in like in pairs, not make it look obvious, right? And then we even put it on someone's wrist. We're like, let me see the real one, put it side by side. And we're like, would this fly? And you're like, well, if you squint hard enough, you didn't know what you're looking for. You're like, yeah, you probably would fly, right? All right, so we stamp ourselves up and we walk in. We walk in and we walk in and we walk in. And they were like, yep, good to go, good to go, good to go. And we rolled right into the place, right? We're like, holy shit, it worked. We actually got in, right? And none of us had to pay except for the first guy who walked in, right? Well, now that I knew it worked, now I could weaponize it, right? So now I got even better with the process. So I ended up buying like a whole stamp making kit. I re-upped my Photoshop skills. And I got to the point, like maybe like a month or 2 afterwards, where I already had a bunch of the stamps made from a bunch of the clubs. And even if I didn't have a stamp for that particular night, if someone were to go into the club, send me the picture, I can be like, give me literally 30 minutes and I'll have like a stamp mechanism with like the clicking sound on it. Be like, bring your friends, come to the house, give me $20 a head, and I'll take care of the rest. And sure as shit, I threw into Photoshop. You got to flip it first, get the reverse image of it.
Right.
You throw it into, there's this little stamp making kit. I think it's like a Martha Stewart, brand or whatever it was. It's like a gel pack, but then you put it into like a UV light dealio and it shines the light with a stamp, the whole shebang, right? After about 10 minutes, you get this thing that you can just then scrub off the excess, and you're left with this rubbery stamp that looks almost like, if not exactly like, what you fed it, when you first got the image. And I shit you not, like I said, it took 30 minutes.
It's like a 3D printer almost, right?
Almost like a 3D printer, before 3D printers were a thing. But they had it was like a goop that then hardened. Same kind of principle though, right? And sure as shit, I end up having like a collection of like 20 stamps from all the different clubs and everything. And this thing worked beautifully well for a long, long time, where it's like, all right, come on over. I got the stamp. Click. Here's your stamp. Here's my $20. Off you go. And it worked really, really well until it didn't. So what ended up happening was I had a couple of girls come over on a Wednesday. They said, hey, do you have the stamp for such and such place? I'm like, sure. Do you have a picture of it? Yep, it's this. Yep, I have it. Come on over. So it came over, stamp. It was a slow night, $10 a piece. They called me up about an hour later and they said, hey, we can't get in. I'm like, why? What happened? Well, they're now checking ID at the reentry line. I'm like, well, I can't help that. Like that's outside my control. And these girls weren't old enough to drink. They're underage for liquor, not underage like underage, but they're just not old enough to drink yet. So I'm like, well, your ID is not going to fly because you don't have a 21 and up ID. You have the stamp to get in, but if they're checking IDs, I can't help you. So, well, we believe what happened. And the whole thing kind of fell apart kind of that night because all the clubs talked to each other. Word must have gotten out. What the rumor was that there was a disgruntled ex-girlfriend of mine who found out about it and then called someone and said, hey, there was a dude or there's someone making stamps, blah, 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 blah. And once they kind of got smart about it, they put a kibosh on it pretty quickly. But I still have the stamps here somewhere, like the rubber insets and everything. I still have them here somewhere. So looking back, I'm like, it was maybe not the best of times, but it was a good time.
Did you make some good money on it though?
So I never got rich and I never got rich off of it, but it was enough for me to fuel my drinking habit back in the day. So
So I'm recognizing a common denominator here.
I mean, go ahead. I know where you're going with
it. Crazy ex-girlfriend or disgruntled. Well, that's
they weren't all crazy or disgruntled when I was with them, just after the fact. What happens to them afterwards is not my responsibility. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So my part, okay.
That's your disclaimer. Once they leave, it's not your responsibility, right?
Okay. Look, just because you work at a place at an employer, that you're not going to be there for the rest of your life. Doesn't change the fact that you're not going to put forth 110% while you're there. But once you leave, everything is fair game. You're like, I've done my time. I've put in my work, and now it's time to move on. You know,
dude, I can't disagree with you, but I'm just saying, you keep saying disgruntled ex-girlfriend.
Rumors, allegedly. Okay?
Allegedly, okay.
Never been proven. Right. Okay.
Make counter accusations, right? That's amazing. So, speaking of underage girls in Vegas, go out there for a tournament, hockey tournament. Get completely barbecued the night before, after, play out all night. Of course, it's Vegas.
Yep.
You go full throttle. I'm young. I'm like mid-20s. Get up. I don't think the casino's there anymore. Fuck, what was the name of it? Had an awesome lazy river. It's down by the Excalibur. Anyway, so we stay there because that was the cheapest place. Come down, jump in the lazy river, swim trunks, hat on backwards, just laying there, just nursing hair of the dog, right? This unbelievably attractive woman just fucking piles on my tube with me. And of course, you're like, hey.
Don't mind if you do.
Yeah, no problem. So talking, having a good time. Go over to the fucking wave pool. Having a good time, drinking. ID check. Now, when I was in Vegas, when I had my swim trunks, in the pocket, you got your room key, your debit card, and your license. No problem. Ma'am, I'm 20. The guy's like, can you prove that you're 20, at least of age? Yeah, she was 20, according to her ID. Yeah, I just go with that. Fucking throwing in handcuffs, wait for the cops to get there.
Seriously, that bad?
Yeah.
Wow.
So now I'm in this back room. All I have is on my swim trunks. So I say, man, let me get my fucking sandals at least. Mm-hmm. Can I get my shirt? The guy's being a dick, right? So the cops show up. I was like, they're like, you got to go downtown. I said, fuck, dude, let me get my sandals at least. And they're like, no. And they look at the guy and go, give him something for his feet.
Yeah.
So pink flip-flops from the fucking spa, one size too small, dude. I go, you fucking prick. Anyway, no shirt, nothing. Nope. And I was in really good shape. 25, dude, playing hockey. And so
pink sandals,
board shorts, Speedo brand. Mm-hmm. So if the joke comes, hey man, I had my Speedo on, but so get thrown in fucking Gen Pop, and I'm like, what the fuck?
That bad for something as silly as that?
Yeah.
My Lord. Okay.
So I figured out why. And so I said, man, they come out, call names, right? You're just going through the process. I said, can I get a shirt? They throw me this fucking property of Los Angeles Police Department shirt.
Oh my God.
Bright yellow, 2 sizes too small. So it's all fucking tight.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's not helping.
Like, you fucking pricks. Anyway, I was having a good time with it because I'm like, look at me. Fucking whatever. So I get to the desk. They they cuff me to the desk
because you're a violent criminal, right?
And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, whatever, bro. Whatever.
In your tiny yellow shirt and your pink flip flops because you're so intimidating, right?
Shorts, right?
There you go.
So I said, he goes, all right, so $482 or something, right?
Come on.
I was like, fuck, whatever. Here's my debit card. We only take cash. All right.
Of course you do.
Points at the fucking ATM. So I was like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah.
So he uncuffs me, cuffs me to a cop to go over to the fucking ATM machine. And I was like, we're in the building.
Where am I going to go? Where am I going to run to? Come on.
$12.50 service fee from the ATM. Only gives out hundreds.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't make change.
Of course. Why would he?
And I'm like, this is a fucking racket. Good for you, first of all.
Yeah, I know, right?
Good for you guys. Absolutely. I think this is amazing.
Right.
It sucks that I got bought into it, but I think this racket is amazing. You guys must be you going to shut up now? Oh, yes, sir. Whatever, All right, man. We all good? Yep. Can I get a ride back to the hotel? taxi line's out front. Fuck. I just gave you $500. I ain't got no more cash. Back to the ATM, dude.
You were treated the same way that you treated that poor girl when you kicked her ass out and said your cab's on the way.
Oh, damn.
You're treated exactly the same way.
Karma. All right. Okay, I'll go with that. That's karma. So to even add to it.
Yep.
So I'm out in the line seeing the same motherfuckers I just spent half the day with. So I get in the cab and I said, what's next to the Luxor? Excalibur?
Yeah, Excalibur one end and then Mandalay Bay on the other end.
So, okay. So I said, take me to Excalibur. Okay. Takes me and drops me off at the Luxor.
Okay.
And I was like, I said, Excalibur. He's like, close enough.
It's right there. Right. Okay.
And I was like, all right.
Great.
And he's like, $27 or something. Right? So I go to give him 220s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have change.
Of course not. Why would you?
So you know what I did? I gave him a $20 bill and I started getting out. And he goes, what's up with this? I go, close enough.
There you go.
And out the fucking door I went, you motherfucker. Then I just kept right on walking in my pink flip-flops like a man.
Funny. That's funny. For some reason, your story for some reason jogged my memory of a small incident I had. Have you ever been to EDC, the big rave that happens here once a year? Do you know what that is? Okay.
Well, I know of it. I've never been.
So it's like one of the biggest, probably one of the biggest ones that happens like across the world, right? They have I think they say at least 70, 80,000 people per day that walk through and like a 250,000 throughout the 3 day.
Where is it held?
Up in the Motor Speedway. There's plenty of room up there. Plenty of room up there. Driving is a bit of a pain, but it holds plenty of people up there. And it's just a big, just weekend of debauchery, right? And I remember doing business in one of the porta potties, right? Relieving myself. Now, of course, as we all know,
I went in such a fucking dirty way when you're like, I'm doing my business in a porta potty.
No, just relieving myself, right? This is my side is PG rated, okay? PG-13 rated. So, and as we all know, people like participating in their extracurricular chemical activities when they go to those events, right? To each their own, right? Not judging, to each their own. As long as you're safe, do your thing, right? Whatever.
I don't judge people's escapism.
There you go. So somewhere around me, and the porta potties they're like right next to each other, and there's little air holes, right? So you can hear things around you, right? So as I'm doing my business, relieving myself, I hear somewhere around me, someone going, right? Now, I will say it was cold. So maybe the gentleman had the sniffles. That's all I can assume, right? But you can either that or he was railing, some of Colombia's finest. Who's to say? Maybe 50-50. So
either way, no judgment.
Right? No judgment, right? So I thought in my half-drunken stupor, I thought it would be super funny and super appropriate to use my big boy voice and say, "You're having a good time in there?" And it got so quiet, it's so whisper quiet. This poor dude probably thought I was a cop waiting outside the porta potty for him, right? Because he obviously was being too loud doing his business. It got so quiet for like a good 20, 30 seconds. And all I heard was the door swinging open and swinging closed. So whoever did it, stranger, I hope you recover from your colds. That's all I can say.
Dude, that's recover from your cold. I know that there is plenty of stalls in Vegas with the chrome little shelf right next to the bathroom.
There's a reason for that, I'm sure, right?
Oh, yeah. I was like, because I used to do a lot of that. And I'd be like, hey, this is handy.
Hey, to each their own, right? Whatever. My mom used to say, do whatever you want, just leave me out of it. And, that's a really awesome way of approaching life. Whatever you do behind closed doors, just do whatever you want. As long as you're not hurting anyone else, do whatever you want, just leave me out of it.
Yep. As long as you're not touching kids and you're being even moral questionable, I don't give a shit. But you're not breaking the law or, breaking
the law within your four walls, right? Do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, you're not cutting like Jeffrey Dahmer bullshit. But that's, obviously extreme. But don't touch kids. I don't give a fuck what you do,
do
bro.
You want. Who cares?
I don't give a shit. Yeah. Everybody's weird. People are weird. They come up with some... So all these things that came flooding back to you about shit you used to do, now you're inspired to write a book. All right? So get a hold of Andy. Link is in the show notes. I bet you he would love to talk to you. Now, he's in Sin City. He said you show up there, his first drink is on him. So now you can talk about how to put a book together and all that. He can give you some guidelines, I bet you. But don't let him get your first drink in the well, cheap bastard. At least go middle shelf. I know he's probably going to bitch about high, top shelf. So at least middle shelf. All right? So get a hold of him. Part 2 is right after this. I'm going to get you out of here because I know you got shit to do. But don't forget, Live Rishi, High Speed Daddy, and of course my website. Sign up for the newsletter. Keep kicking ass. Till next time.
You out there? You listening?